Over the last week and a half or so, going back and visiting with former Diamond Dogs, guys that played in the College World Series on one of the previous 11 teams that made it to Omaha. We do that again today. Brooks Bryan, former All-SEC outfielder for Mississippi State, was on the first team that was back-to-back in Omaha for Mississippi State, 1997 and 1998. Brooks, really appreciate some of your time this afternoon.
No problem, Richard. I appreciate you guys asking me to be on it.
I'm curious if this time of year, when you look up and you see Mississippi State in the College World Series, does it bring back a flood of memories, or is that something that you think about on a more regular basis than just, middle of June every year?
Yeah, this time of year for sure, man. Especially, I guess, the last 3 years since State has been there the last three. But just, regardless if State's there or not, just watching it on TV, even though it's TD Ameritrade and not Rosenblatt, it still brings back memories and just things that we did there and just the teammates and just kind of what all we did and were able to accomplish and just have fun and be around each other.
Brooks, I've said a bunch of times that one of my regrets, and I try not to go through life regretting a lot of things, but one thing I do regret is that I never saw a College World Series game at Rosenblatt. It looks different. It feels different. It sounds different now at TD Ameritrade. It's, feels like a more sterile ballpark. Like it's just a big minor league park as opposed to that kind of college feel that Rosenblatt had. What are your memories of Rosenblatt Stadium?
Just the nostalgia, because I grew up watching it every year on TV and just, and seeing it and watching Clark and Palmero when they were there and then when Eccles and those guys win and John Cohen. And then we were able to go in the first year, our bus driver, Everett, drove us by there the night we got there, to try to get the all out of us and everything. But, the first year was still starstruck being there, but it was just, just the atmosphere and even though there was 20-some thousand people there, it was just different than playing on a college campus stadium where probably the partisan is 95% fans for one team compared to 5% out there. It's, close to 50-50. So just a different feel with it there as compared to on-campus stadiums.
All right, so going 2 years in a row, what was different in the way you guys approached it in 98 from the first time you went in 97?
Just we expected to get back there, and we had been there before. It's just like, Coach Simona said it a couple of times in the last couple of days, where if he was able to throw 8 different pitchers or 7 different relievers a couple of nights ago in the game, and the next time they step on the mound, they're going to already have done it. And that's experience is huge, and especially going a second time, it was just totally different. We were starstruck the first time, but we felt like we still belonged there, but the second time is definitely a different feeling. Just as Lamona said, with the pitchers and hitters and everything. Like Cameron James, the first game Sunday that he got to play in was his first time to bat there at TD Ameritrade. But now each game that passes and each at bat that passes, it becomes more and more of something that he can calm his nerves with, and that's something that Gotro has said about TA, about Tanner Allen, is where, man, he can just slow his heart rate down regardless of the situation he's in or regardless of where he's playing. And that's one of his biggest attributes, is just being able to be calm in those situations. And I think that's bled out to the rest of the team now.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about Cameron James. Another guy that I think about that kind of falls into that category is Kellum Clark. So, the first time he steps on that field, it's against Texas, and there are 22,000 people in the stands. But maybe things slow down a little bit in his second opportunity. And, State no hit through 7 innings, and then with one swing, he changes the feeling in the game. And this is a guy who, 3 days later had never been on that stage. Or 3 days earlier, I guess I should say.
Right. Kellum's going to be he's going to be a stud. I think in a couple of years we're going to see him taken in the top couple of rounds in the draft. He's a big kid. He had some health issues earlier in the year, lost 20 pounds or so, but he can swing it. And he's just now, you know, and I think Brad Cumbus is a lot like him. They're just now being able to see enough pitches to pick up spin, to pick up location and feel comfortable. And Kellum has been able to do that. In his first game in Omaha, he gets to see Ty Madden. And, I mean, Madden was just throwing 3 pitches for strikes and throwing 96, 97. When somebody's doing that, and then McGarry was doing the same exact thing a couple of nights ago, it's really hard to put a good swing on a ball and barrel one up. But as you can see, Kellum's going to be really good, and man, he put a great swing on that pitch, and it was a fastball, and of course that's what he was looking for, and was able to get the first hit and basically take care of the no-hitter and the shutout all in one swing.
Brooks, we were talking yesterday about maybe the biggest home runs in MSU history with TA's home run Tuesday night, and of course Burke Masters and Elijah McNamee. You are on the other side of that. You may have the best catch in Mississippi State history. That ridiculous grab at center against Washington. The picture is up there on Twitter right now. Just sort of run us through that play and what's going through your mind as you hit up against the wall.
Yeah, so the wind was blowing out that day, like 20 miles an hour, and I was playing deep pretty much the whole game, and they had a lefty up, and actually that was in 97, so I was in right field, but it was a high fly ball, and I knew that I had plenty of time to get back to the fence, and I got there, and I was like, if there's any way, you know, if this ball comes down within, 4 or 5 feet of the fence, there's no way I'm going to let it drop, and they were able obviously they were able to get a great picture of it, but it was something that I'll always remember, and I can remember it like it was yesterday, even though I guess it's been 23 or 24 years ago now, but yeah, it was just happened to be kind of in the right place at the right time, and it was hit high enough for me to be able to get back there.
Brooks, I'm curious. We talk sometimes when we're watching a football game about if you really, really want to know what's going on in a football game, you watch the line of scrimmage. And yet very few people do that. Everybody watches the ball. I'm curious, as a former player, do you find yourself more closely watching outfielders and maybe some of the things that normal people don't see when they're watching a game, how they open their hips, how they run, how they, whether or not they're able to keep their head still while they're running? Do you notice that stuff, or do you just kind of take it in as a fan now?
I occasionally do. A lot of it is with outfielders is mainly jumps and routes. To me, that's the 2 biggest things that you can have. You can have great speed, but if you have bad jumps or bad routes, you really have to make up for it with your speed. But I was more of a guy where I felt like I can anticipate and get a good jump on a ball and take a great route to be able to make up for some of the speed. So I occasionally watch that, but definitely probably more so watching pitcher, catcher, and hitter, just little things, where catcher sets up or how the catcher reacts to certain calls from the umpire. I watch little things that in that area of the game that a lot of people don't.
I found myself a number of times this year watching Logan Tanner behind the plate. You talk about watching pitcher and catcher. He moves around a ton back there, but it seems like it's not just for fun. He's not like just trying to keep himself occupied. There's a reason for the way he's moving behind the plate.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be another one I think you see go in the top couple of rounds, probably after next year's draft, where, man, he's got a big league catcher, and he's improved so much behind the plate. I know Lamonis talks about that all the time with how good Cheese has been with him. Cheeseborough, the third, the catching coach that they have, where, man, he's worked with him so much on his receiving and blocking, and he's become one of the premier catchers in the league, along with the catcher from Ole Miss. And both of those guys are going to go real high in the draft. But yeah, Logan sets up to help his pitcher out, but he also sets up to help the umpire out, where he can a lot of times steal a pitch or two an inning for a pitcher just by the way he sets up, and to help the ump, call maybe a pitch that's maybe a half a ball to a ball off the plate.
Yeah. Man, Hey, great catching up with you. Appreciate some of the insight and maybe a little bit of a look down memory lane as well. And it's always fascinating to me how much all of you former players stay locked into what's going on with the program. Should be fun tomorrow night. Thanks so much, Brooks.